Thank you so much for coming, man. I really appreciate it.
Man, thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah.
This is very cool. It's so cool just to see your setup. And in all honesty, because obviously we see you on a Sunday
Yeah.
and we see you in the capacity of what you do in church, but to actually step into someone's environment and see their awards, their studio setup, their merch, like this is the thing. And this is where I feel like a lot of times people don't really know
Yeah.
like you or what you do until they see stuff like this, thinking, wow, man, there's so much in this, bro. So it's a privilege to be here, man, in your
Thank you
environment.
so
man.
much for coming.
No
And
problem, man.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
Let's get to it, man.
Hey guys, welcome back to Kip Gen Studio, and I have the honor of hosting the one and only Mark.
Hey, what's up, yo? Markia is the stage name.
Markia
Yeah.
is the stage name.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
We're not on stage now, so Mark is fine. So.
And Mark and I known for about 2 years now. I think we met at Hillsong Melbourne East.
Yep.
And Mark is such a great producer, composer, and he is also a rapper and artist. But tonight we're gonna talk about a little bit about the rap side of it, and also
sure.
the heart of worship from
Totally.
the perspective of an artist.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be great. I'm very excited, and we're gonna learn a lot from Mark tonight. And if you could please introduce yourself a little bit for the listener.
Absolutely. Yeah. So look, my name is Markia, or my real name is Mark. The stage name Markia actually stands for Mark is anointed.
Okay.
So it's
okay,
Mark
right.
IA. And when I was choosing a stage name, I wanted to go with something that represented what I stand for as an artist. And so I thought this was the best name that I could think of, because what I found when I was younger was that every time that my pastors would pray for me, they say, Mark, you're really anointed.
Wow.
And I wanted that to be part of my identity. So it starts there. So I've been doing music for almost 20 years now. I've been doing that as an artist and as a producer and engineer. Have done everything from youth groups to stadiums to international tours to product placements, the whole works. So it's been an incredible journey that God has had me on.
Wow.
Journey is still going. The path is still there. It's not finished. But just really honored to be able to walk in the space, which I understand that not a lot of church people would have a lot of understanding about, but all the more blessed to be able to share it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it. So my first question for you is, how many songs have you written so far? Estimate.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So with every, are we including features as well?
Yeah, features. Because
Oh,
usually
goodness.
featuring you probably write your own part.
Absolutely.
So that's still a
It would have to be plus 500, I would say. It would have to be.
That's a lot.
In all honesty, that's so. I've done 4 solo albums. I've done an
Dang.
EP series.
Yeah.
I've done 3 collab albums.
Wow.
I've done countless amounts of features outside of that, and I know with all of our products, all of our albums and our releases, we've had songs that we haven't released.
Right.
That didn't make the cut. So if I'm including those as well, it's 500 plus for sure.
That's awesome, man. I listen to your songs on Spotify. Are your album all in Spotify?
Yes, everything's because I've been doing it for 20 years. Spotify wasn't around 20 years ago.
Right.
So I would say all the releases for the last 6 years, 7 years, are all on Spotify.
Right.
Yeah, there are some that are still like, if anyone's got a CD player out there, I've still got the old albums on CD, but I don't. Those aren't on any streaming services though.
So that's your songs. You're included in every single of them. And what about in terms of making music and songs for other people? Is it? Have you done much?
I've done a lot as well. If we're counting those, ooh, wow. I would say just production work for other artists that don't include me.
Yeah.
I would say it is probably Yeah, it's probably about 500 plus, to be honest, in the last 20 years. Absolutely. There's a lot of catalog in that. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm just started. I'm just a beginner for you.
But that's
I think,
the thing is, bro, like you can have all these songs, right? But the thing is, you want songs that are going to impact people.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's great to have a massive catalog, but if no one's heard the catalog, then it's almost like pointless. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure that whatever you're putting out there is quality.
Yeah.
That it will resonate with your audience, and people will keep going back to it at the same time as well. So.
That's yeah. So what's your songwriting process look like? So some people start from the lyrics, and then the beat, and then the message. Obviously, the way you wrote songs might be different in time.
Yeah.
But right now, how is the process looks like?
For me, my songwriting process is I have to be inspired.
Okay.
That's number one.
Inspired.
I have to feel like I've got something to say, and I have to have almost like an urgency to say it, because I've been in seasons. So to give you a bit of backstory, so with hip hop, everything usually starts with the beat, right? And so how this usually happens is that in the hip hop industry, we, like as a producer, we send out beats to other rappers, and we try and get them to purchase the beat, because every rapper gets inspiration off a beat, so they want the beat to then describe the emotion, the feeling, and everything. And so based on the beat is how people get inspired to write when it comes to rapping. I was doing that for a very long time, but then I found that I wasn't really expressing myself enough. And so I got to a point now, like as in probably the last 6-7 years, where I've said to myself, I'm not going to just sit in the studio and create because I just have to create stuff.
Wow.
I'm going to wait until I'm inspired, or I've lived enough life to have stuff to say, that when I get in the studio, I know exactly what I want to say.
Wow.
And I'm going to start crafting beats and instrumentals around that.
Yeah, right.
And then have my emotion match the emotion of the track at the same time.
That's awesome. So do you write songs on melodies, including melodies, and like not just rapping?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of my songs, I try to incorporate my singing as well as rapping at the same time.
So when you write that kind of melodies, do you write the melody first, or the music first?
Yeah, music first.
Music first.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I think for me, when it comes to melody, I have to know like the chord structure first before I write it. There've been a few times here and there where I've had a melody in my head and I've just pulled out my voice memo and just recorded it, and that's been fine. But I think for the most part, I need to hear the structure of the song to be able to construct a melody around it. So yeah, that's been my
a lot of people have different approach to that. Yeah.
How do you do it?
I used to make the music, make the beat, and then try to put the melody on top of it, but it didn't work out for me.
Okay.
So my approach now is I would find the melody, and I would create the music depending on that melody.
Okay.
So melody, and then beats, and then when I'm happy with the music, I started writing the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
And then record the voice straight away.
So you always had the melody first before you had the lyrics? Okay.
So yeah, that's a strange way to do it, isn't it? So melody, music, and then lyrics. When I wanna write something, I would have something in my heart that I really wanna get it out.
Yeah.
And then I would create a music on. I would create a melody for that, and then create the music, and then the lyrics, and then record the vocal mixing.
That's so good, man, because I think that works really well, because I find a lot of times when I've written stuff, I've tried to make the melody fit my lyrics, and that can be problematic at the same time, because you've got this great lyric written down, but you don't have the melody that's able to fit it. I think it works better to actually have the melody first and then write your lyrics to that. It makes it fits much more musically.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's so cool. But look, I think with the creative process, I don't I don't approach every song the same. And so I might, like, even just the other day I woke up and I had an idea for a song and I just like wrote it like on my phone, just the ideas that I had, and said, okay, I'm gonna come back to that later.
Okay.
And I didn't have a beat for it. I didn't have an instrumental, nothing. I just got some lyrics and I said, okay, that's a cool idea, which I want to explore, and let's see how that happens.
Right.
So yeah, man,
It's
it can happen in various different ways.
Yeah, a lot of most artists do it differently. My next question is: has there been a moment when you realized your music impacted someone deeply?
There's been a few scenarios when that's happened. Because my music has a Christian message to it.
Okay.
I would say the first time that I can really recall being really impacting was actually in Sri Lanka, where I was there on holiday. I wasn't making music over there.
Yep.
I was just there on holiday, and I was visiting a few artists while I was there, and one of them was probably one of the biggest artists in Sri Lanka.
Yep.
And I was just playing him my music, and he said, "Oh man, this is really good stuff, man. What are you singing about?" And I said, "I'm singing about God," and he's Buddhist at the same time.
Right.
And he's like, "Wow, what would make you want to sing about this and rap about it?" And I just basically just shared my story with him. From that point, we started making music together. Basically from that day, it was my last day in Sri Lanka. No, my second last day in Sri Lanka, and he had said, "Look, we've got this song for the Cricket World Cup.
Wow.
Do you want to get on this song?" I said, "Oh, absolutely, for sure." And so I wrote my verse that night, came back the next day and recorded it, and then came back to Melbourne and shot the music video for it. And that song was used in the opening ceremony for the Cricket World Cup in 2012.
Wow.
And from that, we built this relationship where he would send me tracks and say, "Hey, have you got something for this?" And obviously, I'm trying my best to perform. So I'm like, "Yes, I'll always have something for this."
Yeah.
And what I was doing was, I was writing lyrics. I'm saying, I'm talking about God in this. You might think I'm talking about a female. I'm talking about God. And these songs did incredibly well over there. But I saw how it impacted one person.
Wow.
And knowing he knew exactly what I was talking about. Every single time that I put pen to paper, he knew exactly this is what I was talking about. And he was Buddhist.
Wow.
So I've seen
incredible.
I've seen my music do that.
Yeah.
I've been in studio sessions where I've shown other artists my music, and them being like almost emotionally drawn to the vulnerability. There was a song that I did on a previous album, and the song was called Honest, and it was actually talking about, like, as males in particular, how much we struggle with just being honest with ourselves, or how much we are struggling with certain things, and we are going through things in our life that we don't always have an answer to, but we're just putting on a front sometimes. And the whole song was about, if I'm being honest, I've been struggling.
Yeah.
And so when people heard the song in the studio, they were just really taken back by it, because you don't really hear that from a rapper.
Yeah.
You from hip hop, you hear about money, cars, wealth, fame. You don't hear I'm struggling. And that's where, for me, I feel like that's where I connect with the audience.
Yeah.
So.
That's so good. The only rapper that talk about that kind of stuff would be NF. Do you know NF?
Absolutely. And NF is a Christian rapper, technically.
Yeah.
And NF, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to NF. NF's brand is around his struggle, where, and again, he reaches a lot of people with his audience, which I think is great. I want to give the answer at the same time, because I think it's one thing to say, I think it's one thing to say, we're struggling with something, but it's another thing to say, hey, I got the answer though at the same time. And that's where I feel like the difference needs to be. And it's no disrespect to him. I think he's great at what he does, but it's almost like saying, I'm struggling with something, and someone says, "Oh, me too," and we're both struggling together now. It's like, well, what's the answer? What's the solution? There's got to be an answer to it.
Yeah,
that's where I see the difference.
That's awesome, brother. And I hope that it's gonna keep impacting a lot of people.
I appreciate that, man.
And so we're gonna talk a little bit about the heart of worship from the perspective of an artist like you, rapper, and all of that. So, how do you define the heart of worship?
There is a verse in Romans 12 which says to present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship.
Yeah.
I've always defined worship as your lifestyle. I think what we've done in church is that we've defined it by music.
Yeah.
But the biblical definition of worship is your life.
Yes.
Your worship is how you live your life, holy and pleasing to God. It's how you present yourself as a living sacrifice.
Yep.
What happens on the stage on a Sunday is an overflow of your lifestyle. It's not this thing of, I'm going to do this on a Sunday and then go back into this world and do what I was doing on a Monday. It's not that. It has to come from this place of, I'm walking what I'm talking. What I do on a Sunday is just an expression of what my life actually is.
Yeah.
So I believe the heart of worship is literally about how you live your life. It's not how you sing the songs. It's not how you raise your hands. It's not how you hit the notes or the runs. It's how you live your life.
Yeah, 100%. That's so good, man.
Thank you, man.
So obviously you are sometimes leading worship in the church at Hillsong Melbourne East, and also playing guitar, or not guitar, but keys.
Yeah.
What practice helped you prepare your heart before leading worship in those moments?
Yeah. My preparation is probably broken down into two things. So one obviously is the technical, and then the spiritual part.
Right.
The technical, because yes, I'm a producer, but I'm not like a fluent keys player as such, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds really weird, right?
Yeah.
I learned how to play keys in church. My first church that I was at was a small Sri Lankan church of 60 people.
Yeah.
No one knew how to play keyboards. So they said, can you try this out? You're probably the most musical person in the church. Can you try it? And so I literally learned how to play keys by playing worship songs. I learned chord structure from doing that. And so part of that for me is firstly trying to learn the technical part of it. But then the second part is the spiritual preparation, where I'm just waiting on God, trying to understand what he wants to do on a Sunday. Now, the way that we structure our praise and worship in our church, obviously we have worship leaders and we have oversights that are really spearheading the direction of where they want worship to go.
Yep.
But I think as someone that's contributing to that, I also need to be in a place where I'm also seeking God at the same time to understand what God's heart is for the congregation as well.
Yep.
And knowing that even my few notes that I'm playing or my vocals that I'm singing is contributing to what God wants to do on that Sunday. So I would say there has to be, as much time as I spend in practice, there's got to be more time spent in prayer to understand what God wants to do.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's just for the worship leader.
Yep.
I do believe it has to be for the entire team. You never know, one day someone just might call upon you to say something, to pray for something, and if that's not overflowing from you, it's going to be tough. And that's why I feel like the preparation in the spirit has to happen beforehand.
Sometimes it's very easy, if we are not careful, it's very easy to perform in front of people.
Absolutely.
And you obviously had done a lot of concerts and touring and sort of stuff and church. It's kind of similar but very different. So how do you got your heart from pride and hype and the pressure to perform?
This is the real challenge.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I've done music outside of church longer than I've done music inside of church.
Right.
And because of that, I've seen how the world reacts to performance, and I've seen how the church reacts to worship. It's a very similar reaction.
Okay.
Right. In regards to the physical, obviously.
Yep.
Things that we do on a Sunday night at church can almost imitate what's happening in the world. Right. And very easily you can get caught into that.
Yep.
Right. I honestly feel the one thing that keeps me grounded and keeps me humble and removes pride entirely is that when I spend time with God, I know the flaws that I have as an individual, and I have a sincere and continuous need for grace and for mercy on my life. And me knowing that, this is like Paul, like in the New Testament, where he says, I had a thorn in my flesh.
Yes.
And, 3 times I asked God to take it away, but he said, my grace is sufficient for you. So this thorn is a reminder of God's grace. And I believe that we all have that thing that we struggle with, or that thing that God's still working in our life. We're never going to get it until the day we meet him. But that thing is there to keep us humble. So the more and more I can acknowledge that I'm not a perfect individual, that I am flawed, I have failures,
Yes.
that humbles me entirely, because now Sunday morning becomes an honor.
Yeah.
It's not something that I say, oh yeah, I'm built for this, and this is me, I got this. It's not that. It's me basically saying that I don't have any right to step on this stage. I don't have any right leading these people in worship. I am here because of grace and mercy.
Wow.
And that for me is the most humbling thing.
That is so good, man. That is so good. Is there anything God had been teaching you about worship lately?
I think, yeah, it's probably been probably a life lesson that God's been teaching me about worship. And in particular, we're talking about like worship in the sense of like music and how we present worship to a church. Worship is not defined by our music.
Yes.
And it's not defined by our style of music either. I'm saying that as a rapper. I'm saying that as someone that's into hip hop, because I think sometimes we can limit God based upon what we think is like familiar to people.
Yep.
Right. I think that, as we write worship songs, as we write songs to God, I find that we can sometimes find ourselves putting ourselves or putting our congregation in a box to say they can only receive worship when it's presented in this way. Where I feel I've been in church services before, I've been in outreaches before where someone got up and did a spoken word and it impacted as much as someone that's sung like goodness of God.
Yep.
I've seen people do interpretive dance and it's impacted just as much as someone leading worship. There are so many different expressions of worship that God is constantly challenging me to say, don't stay in the box. And this is why I feel like he's made me a rapper, because there's no real like box for that in the church.
Yeah.
It's something so unconventional that it almost seems worldly to the church goer, because it's like, oh, what is that doing in church? That's the thing. I sincerely believe that God has been teaching me individually. I'm not saying this for anyone else, but for me individually, to not put a ceiling on what God wants to do, to not put barriers and boundaries around. Okay, in order for us to write a worship song, it has to be only 4 chords, or it has to be, this certain BPM, or it has to have a pad behind it. There's so many different expressions of worship that God wants us to really delve into. And for me, that's what I try to explore these days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. So what does being a rapper mean to you personally, beyond the music and the platform?
Yeah. Hip hop as a genre is the most expressive form of music ever created. If you think about music like Beethoven, which was just instrument, it was just music, it was just piano. It changed the world, but it had no lyrics to it.
Okay.
Hip hop is the most outwardly expressive form of music that literally in the last 20 years has been the highest selling genre of music in the world. It is a genre of music that also has a culture attached to it, which not a lot of other music genres have. So now I can go to Japan, and the person that I'm talking to can't understand a word of English, but by the way he dresses and the way he acts and the way he looks, he's a part of the hip hop culture. So I can already understand him from that perspective. And this is where I feel, for me, I look at the gift of rapping as that universal language to a lot of people that don't necessarily relate to whether it's rock, country, pop, or whatever it may be that others might be into. But there is almost this knowing and understanding that we're part of the same culture. different ethnic backgrounds, but we're all part of the same culture. And I've seen that across the world. I honestly believe that hip hop has a ability to express with such honesty and with such specific intent that no other form of music can do that. And that can also be used for good, can be used for bad at the same time as well.
Yeah.
So this is where I feel that God's got me at.
So that being a Christian definitely impacts a lot on you. How does your faith influence your lyrics and your approach to the craft?
Yeah. Very early days when I started making Christian hip hop music, I lent very heavily on being theologically deep and being very, I would say, very technical in my lyrical ability, because what I wanted to do was firstly, for people that weren't fans of hip hop, if they heard the lyrics, they'd understand I'm talking about Jesus. So I was almost like overly like talking about Jesus in my music,
right,
for the sake of the person that doesn't like hip hop, the person in the church that's saying, why are we bringing hip hop into the church? But they're talking about Jesus, so I guess it's fine. I believe that in the last maybe 10 years, that now how like my Christian journey has impacted my lyrics is that I've now understood that with hip hop, people want to understand situation.
right.
So now as a Christian, I've gone through relationship breakdowns. I've gone through being poor at times. I've gone through struggling with purpose. I've gone through all these things. So if I can talk about these things in a song, someone's going to be able to resonate with this.
Right.
So now instead of me trying to make theological Christian hip hop, I've gone to a place of saying I'm making now scenario based Christian hip hop,
right,
where I'm going through a problem, or I'm going through a situation, but I'm bringing a Christian perspective through the music. And that's where I believe that God has me at. Because I know that a lot of my music is played by non-Christians.
right.
And they understand that I'm a believer, because they know that how I'm going to talk about a relationship is not how another rapper is going to talk about a relationship. So that's going to be the difference, what they see in me as opposed to someone else in the world.
That's amazing. So when did you realize that rap could be your calling?
To be honest, I still kind of struggle with it, because like I said, man, in the very early days, and I think it's changed a bit now, but I still see it from time to time. It wasn't very well accepted. And if you think about just our church history, even our Hillsong Church, the history of Hillsong is that they were one of the very, first churches to bring drums and, electric guitar into a church. Before that point, it was, pipe organs and hymnals. And when we look at the history of that, our church was pioneering something where people said, oh, you're bringing too much of the world into the church. I see that same argument happen when it comes to hip hop.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because they're saying the same thing. Oh, you're bringing the world into the church with this hip hop stuff. And here I am saying, hey, this is the number one selling genre in the world. How is it not in the church? How are we not using this to impact the world? Because the world is listening to it. Travis Scott is selling out like arenas at home.
Wow.
We've got so many artists that are like international artists that are doing big numbers. How are we not this is not a genre now that's just underground. This is mainstream pop culture now. So where I see myself in my calling in regards to this is to be the difference maker. Because I know that a lot of what hip hop stands for, and this is where the church gets this preconceived idea of, we're bringing the world into the church with hip hop, is because of the image that comes with hip hop. Now, I believe that every genre of music has an image, right? With rock and roll, it was the reckless trash, a hotel room, throw a TV off a balcony type thing, right? That's part of the culture, right? I don't think that Christian rock and roll artists do that, right? But same thing. I'm a Christian hip hop artist. I'm not dealing drugs, right? I'm not doing the crazy stuff. So that's why I feel like there has to be the understanding of difference.
Yeah.
Because I'm using an art form. I am not the art form. I'm using the art form as a platform or as a tool to reach people with the gospel. So I feel that my calling in this, I feel like every time that I've wanted to put the mic down, something has come up saying, no, you need to go out here and do this. And so this has been my constant reminder from God to say, no, I'm not finished with you just yet.
Yeah.
I'm not finished with this gift just yet. People still need to come and hear this.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is that as much as God still wants to use me and still wants to provide opportunity for me to share my gift, I'll keep doing it.
100%, man. I think that's the same for when they introduce hymn songs. You know, people didn't like it.
Yeah.
People got killed for it.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with introducing the Protestant music as well.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't expect hip hop to become praise and worship.
Yeah. No.
Right. You never know. We have maybe 2 songs that have rap verses on there. This Is Living and Phenomena is the other one. But I think that if we continue to look at hip hop as a gimmick or as like, oh, this is a really cool thing that we'll just insert here, we don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And that's where, for me, I take it very seriously because I've come from the culture. I understand the cultural background of hip hop. I grew up in it. So it's a part of me just as much as me being Sri Lankan is.
Yeah.
Right. That's how much it's ingrained into me. So it's not something that I just laugh and be like, oh, it says hip hop, oh, it's fun. It's so much deeper than that. If you really understood the power that's in it.
Yeah.
So
as you mentioned, rap culture can be bold, raw, and expressive. So how do you navigate that while presenting Jesus?
Yeah. I've always believed that if you go with the crowd, you'll never be seen. But if you do something that's contrary to what everyone else is doing, that's when you actually make the most noise.
Right.
When I look at every artist, Christian and non-Christian alike, in hip hop that's stood out, it's because they've done something different. So whether the difference was they weren't part of the same lifestyle that was associated with hip hop, whether their content was much more, we call it conscious rap, whereas more like J. Cole's and Kendrick Lamar that were doing much more thought-provoking lyrics, it caused this rift because it makes people stop and watch and listen, as opposed to just talking about every other thing that you hear in the club, right? It makes people, it draws people's attention to it. The way I see it is that it's the same thing with me. The moment someone can hear the name of Jesus in a song of mine, or they can hear something totally different to what other hip hop songs will talk about, that's the difference, and that is what will stop people in their tracks and make them listen.
Yeah.
It is the difference, and this is what I mean by like standing out, like being outside of the box, because the more and more that I try to fit into that, firstly, I don't agree with a lot of the lifestyle choices of a lot of hip hop, right? You could probably say the same thing about your genre as well. If their heart isn't for God, their music's not going to be for God, right? So that's the end of the day. This is a heart issue. This is not about the style. So how I look at it is that I'm not going to forego hip hop because people's heart isn't in the right place. I'm going to use this with the right heart to glorify God. It's like, say if someone gives you like a gift, say they give you a pen, you've got an opportunity to write good things with that pen or write bad things with that pen. End of the day, it's still a gift. So the gift is still going to be there regardless. It's just how you use the gift that's going to make the difference. So I feel like the way that I use hip hop to express the values of Christianity and God's heart for his people, I think it reaches much more people than I probably even know. Because obviously I don't know everyone that listens to my music, but I also believe that it will impact more than what the world does and what's common to the world at the same time.
So how do you think rap uniquely connects with people who may never step inside a church? Yeah,
absolutely. I've had a few scenarios where this has really been evident. When I got back from doing about 3 years of performances and music in Sri Lanka, and music was taking off in Sri Lanka. I remember being very convicted.
Right.
Of God saying, "Hey, what have you done for the people that I saved you from?" And to give you a bit of backstory, when I got saved, prior to that point, I was signed to a major label as a producer. I was working with nearly everyone in the music industry. Had a lot of contacts. I was in the music industry. I was doing nightclub promotion. I was DJing in clubs, doing all this stuff, and having a great time doing it. And then when I got saved, I just disconnected myself from them completely and just and went away from it altogether, and started just making solid Christian hip hop music. But then when I got this conviction where God's saying, you need to start making stuff for the people that I saved you from, because you're not going in there in a position of weakness. You're going in there with the power that I have through the Holy Spirit. So if that's the case, I need to say this and bring this to people that would not come into a church, or they wouldn't come to a concert of mine. And so this is what caused a lot of problems for me, especially because I was in church at the time. But then I was saying, hey, look, I'm going to go do some music in the world, and I don't know how people are going to take this in the church. And lo and behold, people weren't too happy of the fact that I was now going out and performing my music in, I'll just say, not church environments.
Wow.
Because for them, they thought that I was solely exclusive to the church, where I said, if I'm in church every Sunday doing my music, I'm giving the message to people that already have it. What's the point of me being here? Right? I'm just a gimmick in the church because you guys aren't taking hip hop seriously. So I'm just like the oh, come on guys, let's get everyone up and jumping. It's like, no, I'm not that guy, right? I'm here to deliver a message. And if it's not going to be heard here, let me go and give the message to where it needs to be. Paul even said this in one of his letters. He said, I will only go to places where the gospel has not been preached. Don't invite me to your church to preach on a Sunday morning, is what he's basically trying to say. I'm not going to go anywhere where the gospel is already being preached. Send me to where it's not, and I'll go there. So I literally started going to clubs and started performing my songs in nightclub environments. 2 years ago, we did an album launch at this venue in Melbourne. And my wife has the video of it. She reminds me of it all the time because I was performing this song called Holy Water, which is talking about getting baptized, right? But it sounds like a club song. And there were people dancing to it that didn't really understand what the lyrics were about, but they're hearing the message. And this is the thing. If I'm not there, they're not hearing it. So I'm almost willing to put my own reputation aside to go into that venue and say, I'm going to give this message, whether I get persecuted in the church, whether the Christians don't understand what I'm doing, the people are going to get this message, whether they like it or not. And that's where I've honestly seen this idea that majority of people that we come across in the world are not going to step into a church. So we're going to be the only church that they're going to hear from. So if that's the case, then we better make sure that we make ourselves available for that and we put ourselves in a position to be able to share that message. I say this with a word of caution, obviously, because if that environment starts to overtake you, then get away from it completely. The problem that I found very early on was that because, again, I came from a background of nightclubs every second night of the week. I was there. I had no attraction to the actual place itself. I was just there. So when I got saved, I could walk into these places and not feel a thing because I was so used to the environment. But for church people that had never been to a nightclub before, they're so overwhelmed the moment they step into one of these environments because they've never seen what this is about. So for me, it was familiar territory, but for them, it's like, oh no, we need to be far away from this place. Christians should not be in this place. And I'm like, yeah, I get you. If this is your weakness, stay away from it. But if you know that you can change the atmosphere, do it. 100% do it. I mean, for yourself, you would have performed in places that obviously weren't churches, right?
Yes.
But that's the thing. Like, if you're not there, people aren't hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, that's the point.
Absolutely.
I sing love songs.
Yeah.
And I perform my songs definitely not in church, in some place that I went to, and even the kids that are listening to, they know that I sing love song, but they know that I love God.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of
Yeah.
our music. And
Yeah.
your story is just amazing, man. So the Sri Lankan people, what's their main religion? Buddhism.
Yeah.
So if you put a lot of gospel rap music in the Sri Lankan, that's the whole point,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My last EP series called Victory Music.
Yeah.
I had a song on the second EP called the B-side, which went number 1 in Sri Lanka
Wow.
for 3 weeks.
Wow.
That was last year. That song is talking about God.
Wow.
Right? This is what I mean. Like I almost like, this is why God is so funny, because here I am 20 years into my career thinking that, my prime has passed, my time in Sri Lanka is done, and this song goes number 1 for 3 weeks. And again, this is me being unapologetically a believer and talking about Jesus and talking about God in my music, and it goes to number 1 in a Buddhist country.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean. There is absolute power in the gift, right? We have the ability to change the atmosphere with our music. Now, a lot of hip hop music, I'd seen this from my own experience as a DJ. There'd be certain songs I could play as a DJ that could start a fight.
Okay.
Because of just the aggressiveness that comes through the music,
Yep.
because there's a spirit attached to that, obviously, as well. I've seen, if I played a certain song, all the girls will start doing something crazy, right? Because the song is initiating that.
Yeah, right.
Now, I took that understanding of the power of music and I said, what if I put Christian lyrics to this? What type of spirit will that invoke then?
Wow.
Right? Because now I'm putting the Holy Spirit into this, which means all these other things now are now under the guise of, no, we're controlling the atmosphere now. This is the importance of, I really feel that God has people not just to be called to be worship leaders, but to be in the world and be the difference for some of these places where they may never get to hear it.
Yeah. These are beautiful stories, man. I really do believe that your ministry as a rapper is so important for the Sri Lankan community and also our environment in the church as well.
I believe it as well, man.
This next question might be a bit tough, but
Go ahead, man.
Here it is. What's the hardest part about being a rapper in a ministry context?
I honestly don't think, if we look at it from a ministry perspective, I think the challenges for anyone that's in ministry are going to be the same. I don't see the gift being too much of a challenge in regards to that, because the gift is the gift, right? I feel like it's almost like saying, you as a songwriter or you as a guitarist, like, what's the challenge you being a guitarist and being in ministry? Like, there's no challenge, right? It's just like, that's just what you do.
Yeah.
I feel it's the same thing for me. I think the biggest challenge, and like I said, the biggest challenge is in regards to perception.
Okay.
I feel.
Yep.
Like I said, I think hip hop obviously is still a young genre. Hip hop turned 50 years old last year, right? So it's only been around for 50 years. Yeah.
Right.
So it hasn't been around for that long. And because of that, I think there's still a mentality of, this is just a fad, or this is a thing that's not going to last too long. But it's stood the test of time as it is now. I think it's getting people to understand that this is so much deeper than just rapping a verse on a Saturday or on a Sunday. It's so much deeper than just trying to get the kids up and jumping for a song. It's so much deeper than that. If people understood and looked at lyrics and looked at the context of lyrics and what we're actually saying in these songs, if you read that in Psalms, you would never question it, right? Because it came from the book of Psalms. But the stuff that I feel that what some of these rappers are writing about is it's poetry.
Yep.
It absolutely has its place, and it shouldn't be discounted or devalued just because it's presented in a format that may not be appealing to the person listening to it. That's how I see it.
So what in the ministry context in the church, what usually is that people misunderstand about Christian rap or rappers in the
Yeah.
church?
I think a lot of it has to do with what they think it is. So, like I said, because hip hop has mainly been known for the world, Christian hip hop is a very small percentage of what hip hop actually is. So it's the perception. I remember when I was in Bible college, I remember being really chastised by this, by a few people. And when I was in Bible college, I put out my first album, and just because I felt God said now's the time to start doing this music. And I remember getting backlash because people were saying, oh, on the weekend we were watching this music videos and we saw 50 Cent on there and he's dressed like this. He got these girls in the video. Is that what you do? I'm like, are you dumb? Do you really think that's what I do? But this is the thing. It's almost like me saying, oh man, I saw Oasis the other day trash a hotel room. Oh man, Jenny, you doing the same thing? It sounds dumb, right? Because how are we associating what the world uses this for as to what we're using it for? But this is where I feel like there's been this constant struggle. It's a struggle for people to understand this is not just like me putting a few words together. There is intent and there is thought and there is the spirit put behind these lyrics. This is not just me waking up one day saying, "Ooh, I'm going to rhyme some words together." No, it's so much deeper than that. And my heart cry is honestly that one thing of understand something before we reject it. This is not me saying that we need to incorporate hip hop into all of our thing. It's not that at all. But if we look, in all honesty, if we look at church even now, look at fashion right now. The fact that people wearing baggy jeans right now is hip hop, right? The fact that people are wearing t-shirts like this, the box tees is hip hop. The fact that we're doing all these things unknowingly, that's hip hop culture right there. That's what it is, right? We're wearing Jordans and Air Force Ones and stuff like that. Maybe not anymore, but we're doing all the stuff already. There already is quote unquote an influence on church, whether we can acknowledge it or not. My thing is, let's not discard or devalue the person that's using this gift to glorify God and to bring the message to the unbelievers. Let's actually encourage that.
So the final question is, there might be someone who doesn't know just yet as much as you. For someone who is very young rappers, what advice would you give them? If they wanna use their gift for God like you, but feel torn between arts and ministry?
I would say just be open to what God wants to do in your life. Because like I said, I started my journey with the thought and understanding that God wanted me to be in church and he always wanted me in church, but for me to use my gifting in church to the capacity where I am doing youth ministries, doing Sunday evening services, doing all of these Christian events and being that guy that's in church and basically giving the congregation something to dance and shout about. But throughout my journey, he's transitioned that calling to be more outwardly focused and to be more about the non-Christian than about the Christian itself. Because I think the more and more that we try to find acceptance, it's like when Jesus was saying that in his own town is a prophet without honor, right? It's that idea of oh, that's just Mark. It's oh, that's just Chin. What's the big deal? Sometimes people don't value what we have because they see you too often, right? Because they just... You're just you're just the carpenter, Jesus. You're just a carpenter. How are you the Messiah, right? How can you be performing miracles? You're just a carpenter, right? It's the same thing. I feel like you have to go where God takes you. But if you're the new guy or the young kid that's trying to work this out, be prepared for wherever God wants to take you. Because like I said, it may not be in a church environment. It may be in a nightclub environment. It may be that you go out there and you start writing music like NF and people start relating to it. And then all of a sudden you start opening up for major artists. Only God can really determine the journey. All we can do is be obedient to what he wants to do with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's so good, man. That's included my last question. And yeah, it's very insightful on rap music. It changes a lot of my perspective on how I see rap music, and also your calling on doing this as a gift from God as well.
Nah, thank you, man. It's like I said, it's always an honor to talk about this type of stuff because, like I said, not too many people understand.
Yeah.
And to be able to bring understanding, I think, is absolutely one of the things that I feel that I'm called to do. I like I said, I'm not here to try to appease people.
Yeah.
Here to save.
And I don't think this kind of question is talked enough just yet. I don't really hear people saying this stuff quite often.
Yeah.
So it's very good. It's very insightful.
Thank you, man.
And
Thank you, man. We just got to keep preparing for whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
Right. At the moment now, we've got people in our church that are DJs, Christians. How do we foster that? How do we come around them and encourage them? Because we don't have a framework for it. We don't have an example of that. How do we do it? We've got to just trust God with it, knowing that the heart of the person will transform the music. The music will not transform the person.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mark.
You got it, Chin.
And do check out Markia on Spotify.
Please do.
Is that just Markia?
Spotify. If you just type in Markia, so Markia, you'll find the music. I'm on Instagram, Markia51, so just Markia51 at the end of it. That's where I'm at.
I listen to some of your songs on Spotify, and some of them are quite old school music, and I love it, the old school rap. And so do check it out. Markia on Facebook. No, not Facebook. Instagram.
I'm on Facebook as well because I'm that old, but
Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace, y'all.
Bye-bye.